Today we'll be discussing another set of MCQs on Indian Contract Act. So first question is position to dominate the other party and obtain unfair advantage is dash. Position to dominate the other party and obtain unfair advantage is dash. A. Coercion. B. Undue influence. C. Mistake. D. Fraud. Position to dominate the other party and obtain unfair advantage is A. Coercion. B. Undue influence. C. Mistake. And D. Fraud. So correct answer for this question is option number B. Option number B, undue influence. So what is the meaning of undue influence? That it is a kind of a position where the other party is being dominated by the person and unfair advantage has been taken. Like the servant and the master. Right? So master can dominate the servant. So it's undue influence. Option B is correct. A voidable contract means option. Contract A, contract prohibited by law. B, contract enforceable by law. Option C, contract enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties. And option D, contract made either by spoken words or written. Avoidable contract means option A, contract forbidden by law. B. Contract enforceable by law. Option C. Contract enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties. And option D. Contract made either by spoken words or written words. So, what is a voidable contract? So, any question with respect to this query with respect to this question can be put in the chat itself. I'm going through the chats, right? So our question was voidable contract. What is the meaning of voidable contract? A contract forbidden by law. B, a contract enforceable by law. Option C was contract enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties. Option D, contract made either by spoken words or written. So unanimously, people are going with option number C. So let's understand whether it's a correct one or not. So yes, option C is the correct answer. What is the meaning of voidable contract? Voidable contract is a contract where obviously it can be enforced by the aggrieved party or one or more parties to the contract. So option C is correct. An agreement to remain unmarried. An agreement to remain unmarried is dash. A, valid. B, voidable. C, void. And D, unenforceable. An agreement to remain unmarried is dash. A, valid. B, voidable. C, void. And D, unenforceable. So agreement to remain unmarried is dash. A, valid. B, voidable. C, void. And D, unenforceable. So correct answer for this option is little logic is required to answer this question. What is a marriage agreement? First, we need to understand that. Whichever be the religion, we are not going into that, but marriage is an agreement only we sign in the right registered in the front of court of law. What, right? So in that marriage agreement, both the parties agree to get married together. So is there any kind of agreement where it is written that you will be remaining unmarried? That kind of agreement is obviously void in the society. So option C is correct and not option D, unenforceable. Fine. So agreement to get married, obviously it's a valid one. if it's done with the consensus of both the parties. But agreement to remain unmarried in whichever be the religion, it's not considered good. So obviously it's a void. Option C is correct. Agreement without consideration is valid when made. Option. Agreement without consideration is valid when made. Option A. Out of love and affection due to near relationship. B. To pay a time barred debt. Option C. To compensate a person who has already done something voluntarily. And option D. All of these. Agreement without consideration is valid when made. Options A. Out of love and affection due to near relationship. B. To pay a time barred debt. Option C. To compensate a person who has already done something voluntarily. And option D. All of these. So unanimously, I am getting one answer, that is option D, and option D is correct. In all these cases, the agreement will be considered valid without consideration, even though it is. If it is made out of love and affection, so if any on the marriage occasion, if the daughter is getting gift from the father or any family member, it's obviously out of love and affection. So, and in consideration means in return, the daughter doesn't have to do anything, right? So, out of love, affection, near relationship, gifts are given. So, that are valid. To pay a time barred debt without consideration, yes, agreements are valid. To compensate a person who has voluntarily done something, he has done it, he was not asked for, but still he has done it, and then now you want to give him a reward, it can be done. So, all of these is a correct answer. Consideration must move at the desire of. Consideration must move at the desire of A. The promiser, B. The promisee, C. The promiser or any third party, and D. Both promiser and promisee. Consideration must move at the desire of A. The promiser, B. The promisee, C. The promiser and any third party, and D. Promiser, both promiser, promisee. Consideration should move at the desire of whom? Very logical question. Option A is correct, the correct choice. And most of them have given the correct answer, that obviously the consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. So some honorary posts are there, mostly in this academic world or any other place also. Honorary places are there. So just people work, but they don't get any payment for it, right? So it's an honorary post held by them. They do it for their for just for education purpose or for just helping the others. So this is consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. So option A is correct. Which of the following is not an exception to the rule? No consideration, no contract. Which of the following is not an exception to the rule? No consideration, no contract. A. Natural love and affection. B. Compensation for involuntary services. C. Completed gift. D. Agency. You have to find out which of the following is not an exception to the rule. No consideration, no contract. A. Natural love affection. B. Compensation for involuntary service. Option C is completed gift, and option D is agency. Which of the following is not an exception to the rule? No consideration, no contract. So previously, in just one or two question back only, we discussed that consideration, without consideration also, the contract can be valid, right? So here the question is being asked that which of the following is not an exception to the rule no consideration, no contract. So we don't, our choice should be the choice which is not an exception to the rule, that is no contract, no consideration, no contract. So first we discuss the exceptions. Fine. So again we are repeating it. Natural love and affection. It is an exception. Yeah, it is the exception to this rule. So it cannot be our answer. Completed gift. Obviously, gifts I've already discussed that it's an exception, right? You give out of natural love, affection. Agency is a separate thing, right? It's a separate line of agreement where all consideration will be involved, right? May not depend upon the parties, right? Compensation for voluntary services, which we discuss, that already a person has given a voluntary service. Now compensation or some reward willingly you want to give to him, that person, then it can be done. So option B here, it's written that compensation for involuntary services. So if a person is working at some place, so it's a involuntary services, right? He will be expecting something in return. So obviously in case of employment contract or agreement, the compensation should be the must, right? So option B, compensation for involuntary services, is not an exception to the rule no consideration, no contract. Fine. So option B is correct and not option D. Option D, agency, relates to some other kind of thing. It's a out of the context kind of a choice here. So here we need to first understand what are the exception to the rule no consideration, no contract, which we discussed, that is natural love, affection, completed gift, then voluntary services, right? And the exception, not an exception, is involuntary services. So that option B will be taken. Past consideration is valid in dash. Past consideration is valid in dash. A, England only. B, India only. C, both England, India, and D, none. Past consideration is valid in dash. A, England only. B, India only. C, both, and D, none. So unanimously people are going with option B, that is past consideration is only valid in case of India. A is indebted to B. He sells a trolley to C. C promises to pay all the debt of A to B. If C tells to pay, B has no right to sue C because A is indebted to B. A sells a trolley to C. C promises to pay all debts of A to B. If C tells to pay, B has no right to sue C because if the C fails to pay, then B has no right to sue C. Let's understand the question. A is indebted to B. A is selling trolley to C. In return, C promises to pay all the debts of A to B. But now, if C fails to pay, B has no right to sue C because options. A, C is a stranger to consideration. Option B, C is a stranger to contract. Option C, both. And option D, none. Question is, A is indebted to B. A sells a trolley to C. C promises to A that he will be paying all his debt to B. If C fails to pay the debt, B has no right to sue C because options A. C is a stranger to consideration. Option B. C is a stranger to contract. Option C. Both. And option D. None. So here the correct answer is option number B. C is a stranger to the contract. Because, see, what happens? There are two contracts going on simultaneously. One between A and B, another between AC, right? A and B, A had taken some loan, some amount, suppose 100 rupees from B. Fine. And B, A had to return that 100 rupees, but A was indebted to B. And A sold some goods to C. So C in return said that I will be paying your debt, whatever debt you have with B, I'll pay it. But now C is not paying it. B can take action against C or not, that was the question. Our correct choice is C is a stranger to the contract A and B. So how B can take action against C? Fine. So option B is correct and not option C. C is a stranger to the contract. Nothing called this kind of term is there that C is a stranger to the consideration. That is nowhere there. Fine. So option B is correct. Consideration is defined under which section of ICA? Consideration is defined under which section of ICA? A. Section 2F. B. 2E. Option C is 2G and option D is 2D. Consideration defined under which section of ICA? Section number 2F. Option B, section 2E. Option C is section 2G. And option D is section 2D. Where is consideration defined? So correct answer for this question is consideration is defined under section 2 subsection D. So it's 2D. Fine. And all are giving correct answer. Inadequacy of consideration will be taken into account by the court of law. Inadequacy of consideration will be taken into account by a court of law. Options. A. Always at the discretion of the court. Option B. When the promisor performs his promise. Option C. When absence of free consent is pleaded in the formation of the contract. And option D. When the promisor expresses his desire to get maximum return for his promise. Inadequacy of consideration will be taken into account by the court of law. Options. A. Always at the discretion of the court. B. When the promisor performs his promise. Option C. When absence of free consent is pleaded in the formation of the contract. Option D. When the promisor expresses his desire to get maximum return for his promise. So when will be the court of law will be considering or will be checking whether the consideration is adequate or inadequate? The Contract Act speaks about one thing, that there should be some consideration involved in a contract because it's one of the essential elements of a valid contract. But adequacy question or inadequacy question will be put into or can be put before the court of law, or court will decide or court will check into whether it is inadequate or adequate only and only when there is an absence of free consent and that's being pleaded, right? So if there are two parties, A and B, so if A has taken the consent of B using, and that consent is not a free consent, using any of the coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation, or mistake. And B, the aggrieved party had pleaded before the court of law that this act was being done, or my consent was taken using coercion, then the consideration part will be reviewed by the court of law whether the consideration is adequate or inadequate. In any other case, without any dispute, whatever the consideration you want to feel good, you can put it in the contract. But beware of the taxation laws of our country. Fine? Because some way, whenever the property is being sold or the shares are being sold or any securities are sold, capital gain tax need to be given, right? So that in that way the taxation perspective need to be seen while fixing the consideration. But ICA doesn't will create any issue if the consideration, if the contract is done with the free consent. So our answer for this question is inadequacy of consideration will be taken into account by the court of law when when there is absence of free consent while making the contract and the aggrieved party has approached court. Understood this question? So let's have the scores from all the participants. The 10 questions which we discussed, let's have the scores from you. How well you performed today. So how many were correct out of 10? Okay, Wajid is saying 8. Good. Others? Shaumyadeep is 7. Nice. Anyone left to give their scores? Meanwhile, they are calculating their scores. Let's rate the session or give the feedback. Fine. Let them calculate the scores. At the end, we will declare the winner of the session. So, yeah, others do the needful. It's being done. So let's take the feedback. How were the questions? How you enjoyed the session or not? Difficulty level of the question, how the participants performed. So 5 is the scale in which we'll rate the session. 5 is the most beneficial session. 1 is the least beneficial session. Partham's score is 6. Okay, good. And our ratings are coming for the session. So almost people are liking it. 5 on 5. Okay. Rishika 6 by 10. Good. So almost people are enjoying the session, the quality of questions, how the participants are performing. So they are liking the session. So thank you for your feedback. And now let's understand who will be the winner of today's session. Let's understand that from the scores of all the participants. So clearly we can see that Wajid is winning the session. So congrats to him and all the participants who have participated. Keep on participating and keep on revising at your end. So obviously you will be scoring really well. And okay, Shankha is 6 by 10. Fine, no problem. Everyone are more than 50% you are scoring, so good. And today's quality of questions were a little tricky and a little bit conceptual. So do work on your concepts. Thank you for today's session. And we'll be meeting very, very soon with another set of MCQs. So thank you for today.